Cool. So Matthew, thank you for making the time to catch up with me. As you know, normally every year we do the chocolate festival, and this year, because of COVID-19, we've not been able to. And last year I wanted you to try and come to Grenada so we could get you involved in some way, because I know every now and again we have people from Trinidad that represent at the festival, like Dr. Suka, that's been many years to the festival. And I wanted you and Sarah, as I've previously spoken to Sarah, to be involved. So I guess just to give people a bit of an understanding of who you are and how we kind of connected. I guess in 2016, when I went to Trinidad to go to UE and learn about the kind of sensory analysis around chocolate and how I was going to end up learning how to make chocolate, I wanted to get my ducks in a row and just make sure I knew what the hell I was doing. Hence why I connected with you guys and spent, I think it was a few days. I can't remember how many days it was I spent there now. But
it was 4 days.
4 days.
Yeah, the training was a 4-day program from Tuesday to Friday.
Okay, cool. That's it. So there I got to really learn about kind of the history of Trinidad cocoa to a certain degree, and then kind of the processes that I would go through eventually to learn how to make chocolate, and just really to understand the flavors that I would be playing with. That's helped me moving forward. But just to get people a bit of an understanding of who you are, what you do, and how you were involved in the UE side, and then you can bring them up to speed with what you're up to now. That would be great.
Yeah, okay. How should I start? I started actually when I was I went culinary school, all right, and I always tell people the story with regard to cocoa. The first time I taste fine flavor cocoa was in a hot cup of chocolate, okay. And I was blown away, and I really didn't know what it was, what this flavor was. Uh-huh. Now, following from culinary school, I did my degree in UE, right? And my undergraduate, I remember sitting down and I was like, I really want to do something with cocoa, something my final project. So I decided to do my final project with to find out what relate nutrition and cocoa, because cocoa was something I had no thought or process. I had no connection to cocoa at all, other than my grandmother who grew up in an estate, but yeah. No connection at all, other than stories and about Papa Boa and and larger breasts. And I started to pursue this link to do my final project in something related to cocoa, and I connected to a couple of people, and they shut me down because we had no direct connection from this faculty or that department to this department, without a link, right? Sure. And then I just keep on talking and pushing, and I got through, and I talked to one of my mentors in the cocoa industry is Miss Frances Bikini, and she's a plant she's the head of morphology in Cocoa Research Center. Okay. All right. That's basic morphology, is the shape of the pod. Okay. So she characterizes different shapes of pod. But she's also extremely like a motivational person, and she was like, well, she sat down with me, and I sat down with her, and I was like, I was excited, and she was like, Matthew, I want to start. I was like, I want to do something with cocoa, and she was like, well, Matthew, I always wanted the children in Trinidad to taste what is cocoa pulp. Okay. So I sat down here, and I was like, So I said, well, I'm going to make a cocoa soft drink, a carbonated cocoa pulp drink, yep. Which I did. It was excellent project. We passed that point, and because it was a food science related project, yeah. the food science department, which is basically the flavor department in the cocoa research unit headed by Dr. Suka, I got noticed. Okay. Because I won the award, the best cocoa project undergraduate in award. So I got kind of noticed because of that, and also to my enthusiasm, I was always there. You know, I always made myself present anytime they want something or something like that. But it and I was invited because Nyla was doing the sessions.
Okay.
And I think Dr. Suka was not present at that point because he was on a sabbatical.
Okay.
Right. And then Nyla was like, Matthew, I know you have a culinary background. I would like you to just to come in and help me with my sessions. I see your enthusiasm. I love your project, and this, that, the other. I said, well, thanks very much. And that's how I got introduced to the flavor section in at the Cocoa Research Center.
Okay.
You know, and at that point in time, I started my MSc in food science and technology, and you know, I was really excited because I wanted to do something. My whole aim after culinary school was not to have a restaurant, but to become either Angostura, like a brand like that, to have like an Angostura brand, or to have or to be like a Motux brand, which basically it's everyday food, but everyday production, but it's good production, you know, good standing with the pepper sauces and stuff like that. So my whole aim after culinary school was to move to food science and technology, you know, to aim for that, and cocoa and things just line up because cocoa was that thing that was right there too now. And I remember meeting Darren for the first time. I remember the jersey, the shirt I wore, and the pants. And I sit down and I try to be as professional as possible. You know, they took me and they like what they got. And then I think 2014 February I got hired in as the chocolate maker for the Cocoa Research Center, because they had now started to do chocolates with a scientist, but he left and he went, I think, French Guiana. I think his name is Gerard. Yeah, he went French Guiana, and I was just there to fill the void.
Okay.
And from that, I knew nothing of chocolate.
Okay.
I remember the first day I went there, the first thing that Darren told me is that, you know, please take off that perfume.
That's the first thing I learned with the sensory analysis course that I did, was not to wear aftershave. So,
so all them too, my mentor, that's Francis, was always you know, motivating me and saying, yeah, Matthew, when they come, you will do this and do that, and you will do your pulp drink. No, I didn't do it. After that pulp drink is dead. Yeah, I published a paper, which is a good thing, you know.
Yeah, I have to read that.
But it was just dead after that. But then the hardest time came is actually learning chocolate, because the person who used to make chocolate there, teaching you, nobody taught me. Nobody. They gave me books. They gave me books. They gave me the freedom of journals and stuff like that, and I started to read. And pull references and do all these things, because I didn't have anybody as a background to talk to. And also to, like, Darren was very hard on me, because, which was a good thing at the point in time, because I needed to, in a short space of time, I needed to be very good, you know, at a short space of time. But what was easy was the love for it, you know, because it was flavor, and it was the the awe of tasting different things that was not chocolate, that was not a cocoa flavor, you know. And at the end of it, it was creating beautiful chocolate. I always tell my students at the time that the aim of these 4 days is to show you, just to understand what is beautiful chocolate. I remember they had this big chef who came down, and she has her own place. I'm not going to call her name. And she was looking at me like, you know, I probably was explaining to her, probably coming off kind of arrogant, you know. And she was like, oh yes, I tasted this from this place. I tasted that from that place. You know, craft chocolate was now coming in, you know, around that time. That's 2014, 2015, 2016, right? And now she, you know, she's in the States and stuff like that. I remember seeing her face when the chocolate came off the 3-roller. She was at awe, and she was like, Matthew, this is beautiful chocolate. Because the flavors that were in it. The first thing in Trinidad is not floral. It's almost like a sweet pineapple flavor, yellow fruit. And the citric, the acidity, the citric acid that lingers, that moves into like a nice, strong basil cocoa note. That's really identity of what the beans I used to use was from the Gene Bank, you know. And that is just chocolate by itself. Chocolate is one part of it. I used to also handle the fermentation and drying. So what we used to do is that all the people used to crack the workers used to crack the beans first, the pods first, and I used to collect the wet beans every week and ferment it. And this is my job from 2014, 15, 16, and 17. Okay. And I left cocoa research in 2017, but I understood fermentation to the T, you know, because you could see the flavor movement directly towards the flavor of the chocolate, the final stage.
Sure.
So if I over fermented something and then I make a chocolate, you can you have traceability from the day straight down to the bar. Mm-hmm. You know, so you can actually see what is the problem, if there's anything. Like one batch of beans, I fermented it, and then I take it out on a Friday, and I put it in the drying house, and then I didn't come back. Until Monday. So wow. The top of it was nice and thing. The bottom of it was totally mold, right? Mm-hmm. And I washed it out because thinking it was gonna work. And then it looked really nice and it dried really nice. When I made the chocolate out of it, it's like mold. So that's some things they really can't get out of in fermentation. That's what I read to find out, that fermentation is the manipulation of fermentation is the fundamental stage in creating a beautiful chocolate. They must have beautiful beans to actually have beautiful chocolate.
But what do you find that farmers struggle with around the fermentation? Because you know that's one of the challenges that when I'm in many groups and forums and conversations with people, fermentation is always the topic that I guess new chocolate makers and older chocolate makers always bring up. But where do you find that people just get it wrong, or what they overlook, or what they need to do to kind of get it, I guess?
So I left the research center in 2017, and I went to work for the government. Right? Yeah. I can't say it was the rule, but I can say it was in Trinidad and Tobago. All right. I expected people to know what I know. I took for granted for what people knew that people did not know what I knew.
Yeah.
So I went out, you know, thinking that everybody just had the knowledge of what to do in fermentation. using a box, proper drainage, proper days, drying, processing. And my observation was that this information is not disseminated towards the farmers.
Okay.
And if it was disseminated, if it was given to the farmers, it was not done in a process that allowed them to learn.
Yeah.
Meaning that they will be in a farmer's field school.
Yeah.
They will hear this information, and they will never see that information again because it's either no one to properly guide them continuously in their process.
Sure.
No one to help them troubleshoot with.
Yeah.
Right. So that's why I appreciated the millions of dollars government used for extension work.
Okay.
Because when I came to and the best success story I have was going up to a place that takes me 3 hours to go to, and a farmer in a little space, one who knows nothing about proper fermentation and drying, took our little information and listened and did it excellently to win the National Cocoa Awards in 2000 I think it's 2019 was the National Cocoa Awards, yeah. And then he came and he won the Cocoa of Excellence. One of the 5 people who win the Cocoa, one of the 2 people in Trinidad who win the Cocoa of Excellence. So and the best I always tell my farmers, the best thing you could do me is not need me. Because if you don't need me, that means
you're doing something right.
Exactly, you're doing your own thing, and you can innovate. And the same thing I used to tell my chocolate making class. I said that go and innovate, go and make mistakes. That's how I learned. I remember the pains of learning. Tempering. It was real hard because I had nobody to talk to. So it's really hard to learn something that in a book that doesn't make sense and talk about science, and there's no practical thing. Hardly anybody was doing it online anyhow. No tempering sessions online. And these tempering sessions online, it can relate it because it's a small chocolate, craft chocolate, while all the big, in 2014, was the big chocolate makers will show you how to temper, which is just go through a machine and come out of the machine. No crafting the chocolate at all, so.
Yeah, I guess also with the challenge that there's always something, no one thing can go wrong, multiple things can go wrong. Yeah. So it's always trying to work out, if you change this, does it impact that, and vice versa, which is why it's not one size that fits all, I guess. So I guess I know you haven't kind of finished up and brought me up to speed with where you are today, but just for me to jump in and just get an understanding of, I guess, the whole COVID situation in Trinidad, like just in a, I know it's probably quite in depth, but just broadly speaking, what's the situation like in Trinidad right now?
I think as related to COVID towards agriculture, because I'm not going to talk about general politics and stuff like that.
Yeah.
In agriculture, it's proven kind of tough.
Yeah.
It also is proven to be in cocoa not that bad as regard to casual farmers. For full-time farmers, I think it's kind of bad because like recently watermelon is watermelon season, and they have nobody to sell their watermelon to, like that. As regard to cocoa, the casual cocoa farmers now could come out and clean the estate, prune, do these things, and we have like relatively good amount of rain and stuff like that. As regard to markets has affected the market because nobody is buying cocoa, and and we continue to have that problem since last year. So COVID, not even a COVID problem. Now that COVID comes around, the movement of wet cocoa is slowed down because of the restrictions of not moving in certain areas and stuff like that. There's a general fear of contracting the disease, the virus, is because the virus is very communicable. Uh, so as regard to COVID and cocoa, it does directly impact farmers, but also it probably does also impact chocolate makers because cocoa is a luxury crop. So if can't go out and buy some food, how you can go out and buy some chocolate?
Yeah.
Because you have no money.
Yeah, totally. Okay. And then I guess one of the things that we had here in Grenada was when the lockdown was taking place, we kind of had the island shut down for a little while, and then a lot of cocoa farmers couldn't get to their land. What was the situation? I don't know, how was the situation in Trinidad? Was everyone able to move around?
Well,
Because
my farmers, when I call, because we call I call about 60 farmers in that time, and it was mixed. The casual farmers who live close to the land say they have time now to actually work the land and this and the other. Some people decided not to actually go out to their land at all. I know that when I talk to my coworkers, that was a problem because they could not have transported the wet cocoa towards the area.
yeah, so I guess one of the situations we had in Grenada, sorry, was that the farmers couldn't get out, and you were just saying how when you called up your 60 farmers that you were connected with, they were able to. What was the situation for them? Were they able to get to their land and handle the pods? Because I know some farmers lost a lot of pods because of timing. They kind of left it to pick their cocoa pods in the 2 weeks that we weren't really free to get out, and the government unfortunately hadn't worked out how we were gonna organize buying cocoa from farmers. That a lot of pods got lost from our perspective, anyway.
Well, first of all, the buying situation of wet beans was terrible. We didn't have a proper buyer anyhow. So I think farmers did lose their crop as well. So I think the situation here was universal or even regional, but let's say regional. It's same concerns. Movement to get to the land, movement to move the material or harvest, buyers to actually buy the cocoa. We have an open market, so the government does not buy cocoa. There's private entities buy cocoa. And if the private entities don't have a avenue or market, they can't buy cocoa.
So what's the situation now? Actual farmers dealing with kind of like Sarah's project with Meridian. Are there more cocoa farmers in Trinidad now reaching out to international buyers or international chocolate makers and trying to make these linkages that way?
Well, there's three main estates that actually that I know of still have that relationship with outside buyers. I'm not gonna call the names, but let's think about over 600 farms, legitimate farms, not farmers. Farmers could be 1,200 or something, but legitimate farms.
Okay.
All right, and only 3 have let's say 3 to probably about 5 being more. I don't know. I could just think out of my head.
Yeah.
That has not even a constant, a link to export the cocoa right through. I find that's kind of terrible.
Yeah.
Right now, let's say what percentage do they make up in the portion? Right now, that's estates. They also have buyers who buy from the area as well,
Okay.
and they like Tabakit. They has a buyer Tabakit. There's a general cooperative that buys. They cannot take over after the national agency had closed down and stuff like that. So yes, they have avenues for it, but I talk about consistently buy beans from them. I think about three, off the top of my head, about only three people. One of them actually started one of them actually got their GI, and they have the Rainforest Alliance and the Rainforest, so and hopefully that's the model we want to move to help farmers with, but farmers need to help themselves as regards as groups.
Okay.
Because it's really hard. It's really, really hard, and think about it, cocoa is like I believe cocoa has become this crop that that your dad and mom used to do, your grandmother used to do.
Yeah.
So to change that mentality is really hard as well. And that change of mentality also hinders the learning process. So the link he asked me what was the problem, or what farmers knowing information is. When I went there, these people know a process since the grandmother was, or the great grandmother used to do.
Yeah.
Why this new boy, this young boy, just come and tell me like he knew.
Yeah.
So that and all was a problem as well. But I try to overcome those things. The people, a farmer gave me an excellent piece of advice. He said, Matthew, when you want something, you get up and go and get it. That's it. And
Plain and simple.
Most of my farmers who want the estate to thrive and stuff like that, and they get up and go and do it. They do it themselves. They work really hard in the estate. And they really work at it. It's really a labor of love, to move to the next step, especially in this time.
And then how many chocolate makers do you have in Trinidad now, roughly?
Okay. I would say we have judging on the we have chocolate makers, we have chocolatiers. Like I say, it can run over 30 to 50 small chocolate makers, Sure. And chocolatiers.
Okay.
30 to 50.
Yeah.
I think 30 is pushing it. What I think, because the Cocoa Research Center has a really good relationship with the chocolate makers. They train over I think over 100 or over 200 people, in making chocolate. Not only in Trinidad but all like you included, over the world.
Yeah.
And I think people, people made the best of the opportunity and learn from it and made their own thing out of it.
Yeah.
I think the course is excellent course. I know I don't teach it again, but I think the content in it is really, really guided to help you not to only make chocolates. I think making chocolate is like a side thing in that course. I think it's understanding fine flavor should be the main aspect in that that course. Understanding what the quality, what a fine flavor country has.
And I think that's right. I think sometimes I know when I got into it, there's so many books and videos and stuff that you can watch, but I think sometimes you can be in such a rush just to make the product and not actually understand the backstory to it. And I think, and it by then making lots of terrible tasting chocolate, and learn the right way. But I think sometimes when you can be told this is rancid beans, this is over fermented, this is under fermented, and you can really understand it from the beginning, or when you're buying beans, you can learn how to actually know what to look out for when you're buying good beans against buying bad beans. It saves you a lot of cost and headache on the front end, so that when you make your chocolate, it tastes a lot better than it would have done if you'd purchased stale, wet, rancid, over fermented beans, basically. So yeah, I totally kind of agree with you on that front. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And then in terms of now and your new kind of your new role, and And that just I'm not sure because the call jumped out a little bit, but I'm not sure if you covered it up to date, what you're doing now and what that kind of role covers.
No. So what the government used to control all the buying of cocoa in Trinidad and Tobago,
Yeah.
and move away from that into more extension work. So we are, I'm hired as a cocoa development officer. That's my title, and we guide farmers. And what it actually shows is that the impact of uh, uh, the change I actually see over the past 3 years that we have been here, or 2.5 years, the change in people, and it's all, and we didn't really do about chocolate, we do about fermentation and drying, and applying these simple technologies that research has always been there, and we just link that research to the farmer. You
Sure.
know, the extension officers that normally were on was agriculture extension officers, which basically only deal with crop, short-term crops, long-term crops, and stuff like that. But they don't really deal with cocoa. And even the agriculture extension officers, we train them as well. And they are very open to new training, and they they didn't know, they know little to not. When we taught them certain things like fermentation, they really didn't know anything that's a stand anything much, you know. So, and they were willing to learn as well, and work with us in the time we need. So if they find a cocoa farmer, they will call us, and we come and see our cocoa farmers and stuff like that. What we have done with the cocoa farmers is not only fermentation and drying, but we look through the whole spectrum from planting straight down to processing.
Okay.
So I kind of handle more the processing side of it, and fermentation. But some of my colleagues are experts in in large batch fermentation. Some of my experts so the hire 5 of us, and the 5 of us is that two people came from CCIB, that they were in charge of quality management for export, means for
Okay.
export, right? One person was he came out of extension work from a normal extension, agriculture extension. We have one person who is an expert in agronomy, right? And particularly cocoa agronomy. And basically, they hired me to help with fermentation and chocolate, and any, not really chocolate making, but any, that's the troubleshoot anybody who has chocolate problems, talk about flavor and stuff like that. So actually, if people who pick the team, the person who pick the people who pick the team, I think they pick a good sense of roundness, so it's a good team, and not only a good team, we have an excellent manager. His name is Mr. Shah, and he's a wealth of knowledge, and he's an excellent leader, because he takes the best out of each person, and he molds it towards the objectives that he put forth, for the to, to move the company in that direction. And they do things like we help farmers in projects in like small studies, like in fertilizers. We give
Yeah.
proper farmer field schools, where we give out fertilizers to show farmers how to do it. Limestone, so that's agronomy sort of stuff. We we started build boxes, fermentation boxes, because we see the need that most people used to heat dry or bag ferment.
Yeah.
So he initiated the process where they like the CDCTTL, Cocoa Development Company of Trinidad and Tobago, will build a box, and the farmers buy the box or borrow the box. So he implemented several projects that could support the cocoa industry for the increased production and also to increase quality. So he's really spearhead of this program, this production quality program at the Cocoa Development Company of Trinidad and Tobago.
Okay. So that's what's keeping you busy.
Yep.
With all those. Okay. And then I guess, just because I know time's kind of against us, but just just briefly, I wanted to kind of just hear from you about what did ever happen with the cacao pulp drink that you initially started on, and then what are you working on now? Because I know when we met, you were always dabbling in stuff. So tell me about the juice, and then tell me what you're up to now.
Oh well, the juice, I actually tasted like the when I made the juice, it was very like citrusy, you know, and I complemented with real vanilla, and then I bought a soda stream and carbonated it. So, and the best thing to do for CO2 to absorb liquid was to chill it. So basically, I made the simple syrup. I depulped the pulp by hand, you know,
wow.
and then I you gotta soak it, and then after you make a simple syrup and you add the vanilla, you know, and then it's, you know, so the product development was there, but the marketing aspect is not there. You know, so it was just that was a really nice project, and I think it really propelled me to where I am today, in regard to cocoa, and you know, I continue to I love flavor. I love playing with things. If I love product development, you know, it's a beautiful thing, you know.
Yeah.
And creating new flavors and feeling is a good thing, because half of my stuff that half of the stuff I learned is because you make a mistake or you didn't know, and then it work out, and then you did it a second time. Yeah. I'm like, wow, you know, and it's like playing a video game when you make a mistake and you say, hey, it worked, and then go again, you know. And well, so that the soft drink didn't continue, but what I decided to make is everybody was making chocolate, and I was good at that, you know, and but I didn't see that as something I wanted to do, you know, and I always love hot chocolate.
Yep.
I think my core is hot chocolate, but I hated to grate chocolate. All right, you know, the grating, you know.
Yeah.
So it took me 2 years to develop an actual product that I called, my product is called chocolate butter.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's a paste that is totally dissolvable in water, milk, hot or cold. You could put it in parfait. My cost to make a like, you can just put it in heavy whipped cream, and you get parfait. You know, a still frozen dessert chocolate. It's amazing. I have 4 flavors thus far. I have like fine cocoa flavor, which is basically this cream. I have spice, I have cherry, and I have pepper. So, you know, yeah. So, if you want to see it?
Yeah, I'd love to.
Go on. So this is my one of them. This is my product.
Oh, nice.
This is spice. This is the fine cocoa flavor. I do small batches, really small batches, probably about 200 a month. You know, I'm in some stores in Trinidad, but generally it's kind of hard for it. I try to aim for more coffee shops and stuff like that, and so that they can use the product, because I have the product in a large form. You can actually follow me on Instagram at Matt Temper Chocolates.
Okay.
You know, and the actual brand is Matt Temper Chocolates. You know, and in the Instagram page, I decided to show the story of the estate, the story of the journey of going to the estate and stuff like that, and things that people don't see. Yes, when people see a story, they see a cocoa estate, but they don't see the beauty of the whole estate, and cocoa has always been a crop that is with other crops.
Yeah.
A cocoa will be with a mango tree. It will be an orange tree. It will be with lumber. The whole estate, you see these posters and you see cocoa that's generally with that's a cocoa field.
Yeah.
Cocoa is something that always has crops decided, bananas, plantains, and stuff like that now. So people get to see my Instagram page kind of shows more like what people get to see the estate itself, the journey of going, because all these broken down houses, all these broken down cocoa houses as well.
Yeah.
That has gone through. So I think that is beautiful about the journey of Trinidad and Tobago as well. Now, I've seen those things that has been forgotten.
Well, listen, I think that brings us to the end, man. So, so thank you for that. It was nice. It was great to really get an understanding of what you've been up to since we last connected, and get a better understanding of the Trinidad, the landscape, particularly in terms of the cocoa farmers, and then how they're working. Because it was nice to get an insight from Sarah, and it's great to get an insight from you, and obviously to find out about what you're doing on the product development front, because that was it cocoa. Hold on a minute. It was, what's the name of it?
It's called chocolate butter.
Chocolate butter. Yeah, even the name is unique. So I look forward to trying it. That's for sure. So Jose, thank you for your time, and hopefully, fingers crossed, next year when things are a whole different kettle of fish. Hopefully, we look forward to having you in Grenada for the chocolate festival, actually, instead of virtually.
Oh, that's cool, yeah. 100. Thanks very much.
All right, bro. No, thank you for your time again, man.
Bro. Later.